Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about long distance, how to do it, how not to do it, and the advice that I've accumulated from the last 4 years of being in long distance relationships and beyond, but mostly in the last 4 years. So the first thing I want to talk about is the relationship with David and Jonathan in the Bible. This is in 1 Samuel 20. And I was reading this yesterday and I was really taken aback. I was like, wow, there isn't really a stronger relationship between two guys in the Bible than here. So I want to read about it and then tie it back into long distance. This is 2017. And Jonathan had David reaffirm his oath out of love for him because he loved him as he loved himself. And then later it said in chapter 20, verse 42, Jonathan said to David, "Go in peace, for we have sworn friendship with each other in the name of the Lord, saying, 'The Lord is a witness between you and me, and between your descendants and my descendants forever.'" Then David left, and Jonathan went back into town. This is like a really powerful part of the Bible, just to show this friendship of you're going to lay down your life for somebody because you love them so much. And it's really cool because David, the future king of Israel, was friends with Jonathan, and Jonathan's dad, Saul, wanted to kill David like so much. David was Saul's servant, but David was so successful and so powerful and had the favor of the Lord that Saul was just angry with him and wanted to kill him. And so Jonathan was like, "Hey, I'm gonna look out for you because I love you and we're friends. And I'm going to make sure that whatever is coming for you, I will protect you and we will be friends for the rest of the time, and I'm going to spare your life and like make sure that you're okay." And this ties into long distance because long distance is really, really hard. And I think it requires a lot of sacrifice for both parties. And knowing what is best for the relationship and best for the person in order for them to leave. Having that love in your heart, that you love someone more than yourself, that you're willing to endure something really, really challenging is just such a beautiful testament of love. And I see that with Jonathan and David. That's like, I'd prefer if you were here. Like, yeah, it would be a lot better, but in order to spare your life, like, you need to leave. And I need to allow you to do something that's better for you and what your call is. Like, he couldn't have been the king if he ended up dying at Saul's hands. So Jonathan was like, let me look out for you. And I think that's sort of what long distance looks like for me is I had to leave and I have to be present where I am. But my friends have allowed the relationship to change in order for us to pursue our goals and our dreams. So how to hack the nasty long distance, because it is disgusting and it's terrible and it can be just really, really, really hard. But I'm going to start talking about mindset. So the mindset is that going forth with long distance, it's not going to be easy, and you're still going to have the same struggles as when you're in an in-person relationship. Like, just because you're far away doesn't mean that you won't have different opinions or suffer or go through your own stuff. I definitely feel like with most of my relationships in long distance, I've been able to kind of show them the best parts of my life or be really honest about what I'm struggling with, because anything that I tell them, the only way that they would know what I'm going through is if I told them. So that can work in your benefit, where it can be a conduit in your relationship to get to know each other deeper in a way that maybe a relationship in person may not face, because you're not walking through the same things and the same routines together every day. The same problems exist, long distance and in person. And I want to preface this by saying my qualifications in this topic are I have 3 very, very close long-distance relationships and 2, may you say, failed relationships. So I've been across the board a little bit. The mindset game, going into it, when you first say your first goodbye, knowing when you're going to see each other again, or knowing if you're going to see each other again, or if you're ever going to close the distance, if it's a romantic relationship, or if you guys are friends and one lives across the world and you have like a whole life on this side of the planet and you're just like, we're never going to live within driving distance. Like, that's never going to happen. Just going in with that mindset. Even though God can change our plans, I think it's been helpful for me to know that I probably won't move closer to my long distance friends. Another mindset detail is to forgive when things don't work out, because a lot of the times expectations may be dashed, or the person changes and you didn't see it coming because you're not directly next to them. And when things don't work out, like time-wise, when somebody says they're going to call and they don't, or there's a trip planned that gets canceled, like, just being able to forgive and move on, and that's hard. But expectations can be dashed, and it's so hard because long distance is built so much on when am I going to see them next, or this is when we're going to call next, and just not totally basing it off on that. Also, a part of the mindset is working for a common goal. So when you begin a long distance relationship, you are, you're working for a common goal. So it's really, really helpful to know that, like, you want to work for the relationship, you want to try, and both parties are willing to put in the effort into pursuing the long distance relationship. Because if somebody's like, I'm not really good at long distance relationships, like, it's never worked for me, like, I need to just have all my friends in the same place, have all of my relationships in the same place, like, I can't be in 2 places at once. Like, if one person's out, one person's in, it's just, with any relationship, it's not gonna work. Okay, we're gonna talk about the foundation of the relationship. I would say, ideally, long distance is based, romantic or otherwise, on many years of in-person friendship. So, not starting something out when you've been friends for like 4 months or something. Like, if that's the only way that can work, God be with you. But I would say, in my experience, the best long-term thing is making memories in person, doing things together, being with each other for multiple years. We can look back on memories, and just having like the foundation of, you know, their family and you've done things together in person that help you remember why this person's so important and impactful and worth the long distance, the trials and the struggles. So I definitely would say common ground of friendship for many years prior, if you can, is really helpful. And not that you can control that, because you can't really plan on, oh, I'm going to be friends with somebody for 5 years and then we're going to be long distance. It's not really how that works. But I would say ideally that's been the easiest thing for me, especially because my love language is quality time. So that quality time in person where we can experience each other's lives, experience each other's personalities, how they interact with the world, it's very important for me. I think the foundation of a long distance relationship should be built on a common interest. So I think the strongest common interest is God, because you can talk about him. He is eternal. He is working in both of y'all's lives. Faith is just such a strong connecting point, where other things can wane, like hobbies or vocations or even people. I know in my relationships, having that unity in Christ, regardless of the distance, like, it is biblical that, like, Paul was writing letters and he was like, I can't wait till we're together. I think it was to Timothy, where he was like, I can't wait till we're together so that we can see each other. So the foundation of God is a strong connecting point. And having those common interests that span distance is a great way to encourage each other in your faith and encourage your walk with Christ, and then also encourage the friendship because you're working towards something together. I've watched videos of couples doing long distance and friends doing long distance who are not Christian. But there's not much like the unity of Christ. Like I said, it all can fall away. We have foundation, we have mindset, we have effort. Effort can mean different things for different people. I know some of my friends prefer to talk once a month, or once every 3 months, or once every year. But for the long distance relationships, having that communication about how much you're gonna talk, or at least the standard of something like, oh, I'm like really busy, like you're gonna move really far away and my schedule looks like this. I think that communication needs to be expressed in the way that both parties feel seen and heard and known. Keeping in mind love languages and just general things that make the other person feel secure. So if that be in expressing your schedule ahead of beginning long distance, and you're just like, okay, I know that I'm going to be working like 4 days a week and I can only call for an hour like every other week or something. Maybe not being so specific about that unless you're like in a romantic relationship and like that needs to be expressed. But like in friendships, just having the intimacy of knowing each other's schedules and knowing about what they're doing with their lives will help you to kind of be forgiving of the expectation about how often you'll be able to call or text or reach out or send TikToks or whatever. And this is not my quote. Expectation without communication leads to disappointment. And I think that was like Sadie Robertson. It was in a podcast. But I've stuck with it. Like if you don't tell somebody what I don't need to extrapolate that quote. And then also like when life does inevitably change, knowing the limitations and expressing, communicating, being very open about what you're able to do. I can't call. My schedule's changed. It's important. In romantic relationships, not settling into a rhythm of unintentionality. Like either when you're together and you're like, we're gonna be together for like 2 weeks, and so we're just kind of gonna be lax about like communicating and talking about stuff. Or when you're away and you're like, well, now we no longer see each other, we're not around each other, so I'm just gonna like, I don't need to tell you what I'm doing, I don't need to tell you like who I'm with or what's happening. Like if the expectation is you're gonna express as much as you can as when you're together in person, then when you go to long distance, you're like, okay, I should know about you, who you're going to be around, what's going on, what's happening, and what you're doing with your time. And that might be an expectation. So communicating that before, being like, this isn't enough communication, let's have more. Or being like, I physically can't do this with my schedule, like I can't tell you everything that's happening. Or realistically, like I can't tell you what's going on all the time, I'm really busy, like I can't be that open about stuff. Having an expectation, communicating amply. And then also, when you communicate, backing up the words with just as much action. Makes sense. You would do that in an in-person relationship. If you say you're gonna do something, then do it. It's not that deep. And also communication, however frequent or infrequent, I think should be expressed in the way that the person experiences it the most. Like if a form of communication that somebody prefers is like photos of things and the other person needs long letters, just being communicative in the way that the other person responds to most. Love as you would like to be loved, but also be aware that people express and communicate differently. Why did I say it like that? Something that I feel like I need to work on is real life relationships. Hello? I think that connecting with people why am I talking like this? I feel like connecting with people who know you and see you in your life rhythms is important as much as it is to keep up with the people who you're in a long distance relationship with. Seeing the people, spending time with the people who are around you. And I think a lot of people shy away from long distance because of this. Like, I'm just living my life over here, you're living your life over there, and like, we can't, like, I need somebody who's like around me, who sees me and sees the rhythms and the routines and the people and everything, which could go on the I hate long distance list. Like, yes, that's really, really hard. But for me, since committing to long distance relationships, like, I know I need both. I need somebody who is around me and seeing me, and we're experiencing life parallel to each other, and then somebody who is far away, who is kind of detached from my life, who sees me for who I've been, the history of us, and sees how the environment's changing me, and I need both. But for real life relationships, balancing long distance in real life relationships is hard. Something that I'm thinking about is when I was hanging out with a friend recently, my long distance friend called me, and I was like, oh shoot, like, you don't call me that much, so I like really want to just be like, okay, hold on, I need to answer this call. But it's balancing the rarity of the long distance relationship with the specialness of the in-person relationship, and just having to choose sometimes about what you're going to invest in with anything. Okay, and then finally, my favorite part is visits. Figure out when you're going to visit each other. Try to figure out whatever stretches the time out. So if you're going to visit for a week, plan things that are going to help you to grow closer over that time and produce memories that will last over that time span. Think about, like, could we do this when we're apart? Like, if we're gonna sit next to each other and scroll on our phones, like, is this something that we could do when we're not together? I'm not necessarily saying you need to go and visit 3 museums and go on a walk every day. But for me, having a schedule about what I want to do, and like even just sitting next to the person, or like seeing the person's like high school, or meeting with the person's family, or like going swimming together, or, you know, like just the quality time things that you tell each other about but never experience together. I think that's really an exciting part of long distance, is getting to actually do those things together. And God willing, if y'all ever close the distance and are able to do that forever until you die, like, that's beautiful and amazing and so worth it. Again, not all long distance relationships end in closing the distance. All right, so that concludes the long distance video. I hope I wasn't dogging it on long distance too much, because it really is a beautiful thing. If God joins together 2 people, just like Jonathan and David, like, he will give them ways to impact each other and bring them closer to God. And I really think that regardless of the distance, or regardless of the physical situation, if you root your relationship on God, and really commit to that being a battle that you're facing together, it can be a beautiful and wonderful thing. I wish y'all all the best. I'm going to pray. Lord, thank you so much for long distance, and thank you that you give us ways to show your love to people even when they're far away. I just pray for people in relationships. I pray for people in relationships who are beginning long distance relationships, Lord, that you will strengthen them and give them peace about whether or not to stay in the relationship. Lord, thank you for friendship and the gift that is, and for romantic relationships and marriage. I just pray that you will guide each of the relationships of the people who are watching, help them to focus on you and commit all their ways to you. Lord, I thank you for today and the opportunity to film. Thank you that there's even this silly medium to impact people around the world. And I just pray that whatever gift I have in my hands, I will use for you. It's in Jesus Christ's name that I thank you. And I praise you. Amen. Be blessed.